Hey, everybody. So, I've been really busy for the last 12 days, basically bringing an episode a day. We took this Raad Life show that was once a week and we made it a daily. And it's been really a lot of fun, actually. But one thing that it's done is it's taken up a lot of my time. And so I didn't realize until today that, some things I have not been really cared for, like, my hair. It's just not, it just, it needs a little TLC. And so, I'm like, hey, I need to call my buddy Gorky and find out like where I can get some TLC. And he's like, sorry, I guess you're growing it for the season. Okay. So who I have with me here is Mr. Gorky Falcon, the master scissors himself, the master baba that basically takes care of this mop on a regular basis, or at least when I actually show up, because I actually always keeping him waiting, and he actually even kept him waiting on the Zoom call today. So, hey, I'm consistent.
Hey,
I'm consistent. I'm consistent.
that's who you are, man.
That's who I am. But no, seriously though, I wanted, and I reached out to him, and he's like, I guess you're growing your hair. You gotta wonder, Are you gonna go with a full down on your shoulders? You're gonna go with a man bun?
You're gonna have to be like
hell no, I'm not doing a butt. I'm not doing man bun. No,
you're gonna have to do the ponytail, the cigar.
no. I know exactly what I'm gonna do. I think I'm gonna do like Opera Man with Adam Sandler. Where the hair is just like down, man.
Oh my God, yeah.
And it's silver and salt and pepper and all you got it. But
My OCD is on fire as it is.
Your OCD is on fire as it is.
I already want to cut it.
Yeah, I can't help you with that. I told you that a long time ago.
Oh man,
So,
I'm going crazy trying to figure out how many doll heads I can cut and like so many hair videos I can watch.
Well, right, because you I mean, all joking aside, I mean, I wanted to basically bring you on here and have a slightly different conversation with you than I've been doing the last week, because here you are, you're self-employed, you are in a trade that cannot do this virtually. Like, I've had people on where they've pivoted and they were doing things virtually and so forth, but you're literally hands-on. And so this is really kind of crazy time for you. How long have you been cutting hair? How long have you been a master barber?
Well, I don't like to qualify. I mean, say that I'm a master barber because it takes.
I called you once, so you don't worry about it.
And I appreciate it. You always give me kudos, but I've actually, hair has been. I started cutting my hair when I was, I think, on 9th grade. I wanted those, those designs that people were getting on their heads back, and now they're popular again. And my mom wouldn't take me to get them done, and I was like, okay, well, grab my dad's beard, thing, and I did it myself, and that's how I kind of got my start. But I never really considered it as a profession because I did it for fun until I was about 30. It took me a while to figure out what it was that I wanted to do with my life and what I was really, really passionate about, because I made it, luckily I made a lot of good career moves, I would say, starting with my first job. I was doing sales. I sold cars for about 5 years. So that in itself trained me for all the positions that followed, including hair, because it trained me on how to build rapport with people, how to get along with anyone, just find common ground. You're good, and know what you're talking about, know your craft, and that's all it really takes. And it's really helped with all my jobs, collections. I've done mortgages. I'm a certified interpreter, English to Spanish, and most of the time I worked in the financial field. And up until I was in my 30s, my ex-fiance pointed it out to me once. She's like, why don't you just get out of the garage and stop doing hair here and go get a license to go do it for work? And I was like, oh, I guess I was too close to the project to see. Somebody had to have that external view and point it out. And from there, I was like, you're right, you're on. A month later, I was enrolled in school. 18 months later, 18 months it takes, because part-time it's like 25 hours a week roughly. Mm-hmm. And you have to make 1,600 hours. So it takes about a year and a half part-time because I had to work also. So, but after that, I had my first license. Then after that, I went for my barber license and so on. So it just never really stops as far as learning, which is why I love this job and why it's such a hard thing right now, because as I mentioned, luckily I can pivot. I've been applying online to, call center stuff. I can do remote work online. I mean, I can do a lot of stuff, luckily, sales.
So
Not a lot of people.
so how's it been? I mean, first of all, you know, here's something that you're doing passionately. You were doing it as a hobby, then you make it a career path, and you're passionate about it. I mean, and I'll give you a little plug here too. You got to the point where you were even teaching it at the Paul Mitchell's, right?
I did. I taught barbers at Paul Mitchell, yes, for about a year.
In Costa Mesa, like near the OC Mix. So
Right.
so and you will be okay. You will fall on your feet. You have survival and a hustle, so that you'll figure out a way. But it's pretty hard, I would imagine, to basically go into a situation where you're hands-on and you're a very social person, and now you basically are at home. You're not sure you know what you're going to do. You're not sure what's going to happen. I mean, I'm assuming you also have gone through that, you know, the filing for unemployment and all that good stuff, right?
Don't even, that's another, you know, tangent we need to go on when we get to the, you know,
Well,
specific.
I'm taking you on it right now. So what, so you find
But let
yourself,
me address the
yeah.
first issue.
Okay. Address the first issue.
The main issue is that, to me, it's really killing my passion, because as I pointed out, it took me 30 years to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And now that I'm 43, I've been doing it for 13 years. And now to take, really in my mind, a step back and go back and work at a call center or do sales and not do what it is that I love to do, it's killing. It's a killer. I don't know how I'm gonna.
Well, and
You know,
you have to keep your hand in, right? I mean, so it's like
sure.
you're not able to do that. So it's not like just a loss of a job. You're losing something that's very much part of who you are.
That's what I was saying. So so far I've been, you know, cutting all my family members, friends, anybody that I could. Hey, let me trim your beard, bro, or let me, you know, cut your hair, dad, or just anybody that I can do something for, because I'm dying. I'm watching hair videos. I'm, you know, cutting all my doll heads. They're all bald now. So it's really going to be a tough transition if turns out to be longer than expected.
Well,
I'm expecting.
people are talking about like 90 days.
I think that's correct. I think it's honestly the way that the people here in America work is that we can't be told that it's going to be 90 days up front. We're going to freak out. Economy will stop. People will, you know, stop. I mean,
I'll tell it to you in increments of 2 weeks.
Right. So
30
they're
days.
going to keep scaring us little by little, like, oh, another 30 days, oh, till the end of the month. But look, it took China 88 weeks to get it under control, kind of. So that's, I think, the expected amount. Also because loans, the barbershop where I work on the weekends in Irvine company gave them a 3-month deferment. Mm-hmm. Amazon, no, what do you call it? Yelp gave them a 3-month deferment. So a lot of these big corporations are giving people 3-month deferment, which leads me to believe that they know something that we, the average people, don't know. Right. Which is probably going to be the government told them, hey, it's going to be about 90 days, get ready. So, and then the public is told, oh, hey, it's going to be till the end of March. Hey, till the end of April. Hey, until so on. Because you can't tell people the truth, unfortunately, here. People are too conditioned by the system not to be told what the real situation is.
Hunker down. It's going to be at least, you know, into the summer. So
yeah, and fortunately, I've been preparing myself in a way, because as you know, I've been sober now. In May 24th is going to be 2 years. So a lot of that, even though I'm a very social person, was cut hair all day and then come home and lock down. You know, put some music, do my yoga here in my living room. So this social isolation, the social distancing, to me is like, well, it's cool.
Well, but it's part of your, you know, one day at a time kind of maintenance. And you raise an interesting point. I didn't even think about it, Gorky, is that right now, you know, it's almost like a joke. It's almost like a coping mechanism where people are saying, you know, alcohol sales are up 50% in 2 weeks, in less than 2 weeks.
Corona.
But I mean, all joking aside, you know, there is a massive consumption of alcohol that's going on right now as a way of
I see it.
coping, right?
The trash cans are right here in my apartment complex. They're all full of beer. Like, I'm like, whoa.
So for people that are actually in that space, it's an added challenge going on right now. Like it's really testing people's resolve.
Just
right?
imagine. I mean, it's like constant holidays with the family. What does families most of the time get to do when they're together? To like stand each other, social lubricant, right? So a lot of them are, you know, lubricated all the time now. So it's gonna be a lot of couples coming out of isolation. I think going directly to divorce attorneys, unfortunately, which is
people going to sobriety programs. Yeah, I mean, it's
something is gonna happen. You know, it's just. I think it's also a good thing though, in a way, because it's gonna force people to seek inwards, like to figure out who we really are, what's really important. Like right now, what's important to me is seeing my family. So what's important to me is figuring out if there's ever going to be a way where I can cut hair again and feed that part of my passion, which I can't do any other way. Unfortunately, there's no other way that I can do it. A lot of my barber friends are in the same position, and even worse, a lot of them don't have the background in finance or interpreting
to
or
fall back on.
They just have cutting, and they're, you know, unfortunately, they're all reverting back to going underground, going to people's houses. Everybody's still getting haircuts. You know, it's unfortunate, but true. The government hasn't made clear guidelines as to what's allowed and what's not allowed. And it's forcing people to go back to old prohibition style kind of stuff, you know, underground.
You know what I find really kind of interesting and sort of sad, and I question whether it could have been avoided, is that this extremeness of shutdown without clear guidelines, without clear guidance, without basically saying, look, if you have symptoms, then definitely you need to basically self-isolate. That's what I was given directions to do last January when I had influenza. I was basically self-isolating for a whole week, right? And because it was a 5-day period and I did like 7 days. Sure. So there's been no transition. Like if you are not showing symptoms, but and if you can, no, hold on a second. And if you can go somewhere and get tested, right? Now you can argue that still may be a false negative. Okay, great. But if you go through the steps, you're not showing symptoms, you get tested, you're in the clear, okay, maybe in another week you get tested again, then at least you know that within the 2-week period, you could technically be given an all clear. And then if you practice certain measures like face mask and gloves and things of that nature, like most people do in hazardous occupations under normal conditions, that you may be able to perhaps continue to practice your craft, because there's going to be, even under those conditions, you're going to have a drop in sales and drop in customer show up and all this stuff. In fact, somebody may be sick on the other side of it, right? So we don't have anything of that nature in place right now. There's no measures that would allow somebody to maintain some degree of normalcy if you go through the steps of proving that you are qualified. I had a gentleman on a little while ago who basically is in the senior home care business, right? They're still
qualified for what?
Well, basically, I'm showing no symptoms. I went I got tested. Here's my results.
I thought you meant like a loan or something.
No, I went back after like a week and I got tested again, and here's my results. So within a period of a week to 10 days, maybe 2 weeks, I am walking around with clearance papers that at least over a 2-week period, which is supposed to show some symptoms, I have been clear. And since then, I have been practicing with my, I have a face mask, I have gloves, I wipe things down. I go back in another 2 weeks and I get another test. Am I still clear? Then I'm allowed to continue to practice my craft. But we don't have even that kind of measures in place right now to allow people to basically have a hope that they could go back to some sort of normalcy, which is really what fascinates me about this whole thing.
Well, you know what my take on that is? The people can't be trusted. Bottom line, because
yeah, you don't have to be trusted if you don't have a piece of paper that shows that you cleared and it's from a particular number of centers that are pre-decided.
Well, that's another point that you brought up. It's hard to even get a test.
Well, so if you're not showing symptoms,
right?
This is the vicious circle. Okay, hold on. You hold on. So people that are watching this show, this is what happens when I sit in the chair with Gorky. This is the kind of conversations that take place when he's basically.
You talk about tests and like getting. I'll give you a prime example. But let me talk though. Hold on. allergy season is a problem, okay? During this time, I'm sneezing in the morning.
Right.
I go outside, somebody's cutting the grass. I'm like coughing, my eyes are red. People are looking at me like I'm, so it's tough to tell. Like I for sure don't have it.
But
I'm never going anywhere unless.
But I don't know that, Gorky. And so
I know exactly, but unless my cat's gonna get it, then I'm not putting anybody at risk here in my loft. It's just me and my cat.
bear with me, okay? So I'll use your example. So you are coughing from allergies, right? You are showing some symptoms, let's say, okay? You know it's allergies. The neighbors don't know it's allergies. So okay, fine. So you go and you get tested because, hey, I'm showing some symptoms, so I'm going to go get tested. I qualify to get tested, so I go get tested. Now that I get tested, it obviously is that I don't have it. Okay, great. Bear with me.
No, but you have to look up the advanced symptoms. You can't just have a cough and go, because you overload the system. Then all the people that really need the help are going to be in line waiting for you to get you're fine, dude, go home.
But this is exactly, you're proving my point. The damage of this, the damage of what's happening right now, okay, is because of the fact that the only thing we have going on is a do and don't, a black and white, okay, situation. There are no steps in place. And it's not like we have been at this thing for 2 days. We've been at this thing at least for 2 weeks, if not longer. In some cases, it's been 3 weeks, right? There needs to be some sort of relief mechanism put into place, because people, to your point, are going to cheat. Nobody's going to stay. If we think we're going to be able to maintain this consistency of adhering to guidelines and rules for 90 days, we got another thing coming, because the only way that that's going to happen is if we become a totalitarian situation and we put boots on the ground, because people are not going to be sequestered for 90 days in a world that basically conditioned them to be out and be social and take Facebook selfies in front of God knows what. This is
America. It's free, freedom of speech, free of everything.
And then there's that layer too. So 90 days is not gonna hold. The dam is not gonna hold for 90 days. And so
it's like sand slipping through the fingers. The tighter you hold, just
it's not gonna hold for 90 days.
But I also think it's good, because if that slows down the curve in a way, then great. So okay. Unless I run out of groceries,
but what I'm saying is the damage from this, not to make light of loss of life, but the damage from this is going to be so much greater when it comes to economic impact and people that, oh yeah, I survived, I'm healthy, but I'm basically destitute. I am unable to pay my rent. I am unable to sustain my family, and I'm now basically homeless, or I'm basically now on welfare. The damage from this and the ripple effects going out from this are going to be such that we should be looking at how do we basically not necessarily normalize the situation, but give people an opportunity. It's like you don't qualify to drive a car unless you have a driving license. That means that you have to take some tests, then you have to basically be qualified by the DMV, and now you have a valid driving license. If you have a valid driving license, you're allowed to basically be a person who operates a vehicle that could endanger others. Take that same principle and apply it to this. If I am potentially virus-free or not virus-free, if we have mechanisms put into place to prove to people that I am actually virus-free and qualified to be outside, and I'm not operating my craft, my profession with a danger to others, and I will go back in, just like with the DMV, and get tested every once in a while. In this case, let's say every 10 days.
That's wishful thinking though, bro, because look at the professionals that are on the front lines, the doctors. There's doctors that are living in their garage because they're in fear of contagion their family members. They're rooming with other doctors outside.
And what I'm saying, that is not a sustainable situation for 90 days. The reality of this, like I'm having a conversation with you right now on this.
It depends. You're talking about ripples, and ripples to which side? There's ripples to the family aspect, there's ripples to the financial side, and there's ripples as far as the benefit side, because as far as the benefit side, we were not ready. Sure, the government say, hey, stay home. All the celebrities, hey, stay home. Sure, you guys are okay with your J-Lo put a video of her staying home with her $1 million mansion. I was like, oh, cool, you don't have to worry about bills.
But that's exactly my point. This 90 degrees of projected, so isolation not being able to conduct business, not being able to, and then the $1,200 isn't going to do nothing for people, right? I mean, it's just not even a drop in the bucket, and so for us to be so focused on flattening the curve that we don't put in the same time simultaneously parallel path mechanisms in place that would basically clear certain people, that issue is going to come back and bite us, because in 90 days we will not have the uniformity with compliance that we have today. Where it's already fraying on the edges right now, and we
I think
have
we
to
need to worry more about not testing the people, but more like, for example, what CVS is doing. They're having coverings. Everything is hospital environment. So if we can make, for example,
that's not sustainable for 90 days, Gorky.
I know, but it's better than it's better than having your barber come to your garage and do your hair there with, you know, or like my neighbor, like 5 of their buddies come and party
I'm not saying
weekend.
that. I'm saying your barber
mm-hmm.
is willing to basically go get tested, and then basically wait, and then get tested again, and be sequestered for 2 weeks, and after 2 weeks be able to walk around with a free bill, with a clean bill of health certificate issued by a center or out of a handful of centers that are qualified to issue that paperwork, so there's no fraud in it. That barber should be allowed to, if they choose to, because they're going to basically also expose themselves potentially, but that barber should be allowed to go in and practice his craft as they see. Now that it puts it on you now to whether practice or not, because you're exposing yourself to others.
I was going to say I would choose not to, because there's still not an effective way to, you know, there's no effective cleaning mechanism that you can just, I'm going to go ahead and douse myself with this and I'm clear of it. So I'm not going to, because when I'm behind the chair, you know, us barbers, our stylists, we always get the colds. We always get everything that goes around, because everybody brings it in. Sometimes they don't have symptoms because they're during the incubation time. Or
so what? When does the reality of, let's say,
the reality is hit now.
No. But what's your sustainability? Let's say that tomorrow.
I'm telling you, the reality is hit now. I'm relying on savings, credit cards. I'm thinking of getting a loan from my parents, so for this couple of months, just so I don't have to rely on savings. However, that's not a feasible thing. I'm waiting for EDD to get back to me. It took about a week to apply.
When did you file for unemployment?
Well, I was finally able to get in a week and a half ago. It took me about 4 days to get in, because my account was for some reason locked, and I researched it online, and it looked like a lot of people had the same problem. I think it was mostly because of the overbearing to the system. I think 3.3 million people filed in 1 week. So
the numbers, my friend, are up to 10 million right now.
No, this week. Yeah. No, but the first week was 3.3 million. So it completely killed them, and they weren't ready at all. So it's put a lot of fear in my mind, because I came here when I was 12 years old. I'm 43, and I've always thought America's bigger than anything. But now I fear like my government can't take care of me. Like, man, I don't want to live on unemployment. I want to work. But if I have to, I will. Like, if I have to stay home and rely on them, cool. But they're not getting anything done. It took me, I had to call about 3 different numbers. I had to, thankfully, some guy in corporate, I me, I've used to do skip tracing. So I went and researched online. I found somebody in their quality assurance that actually picked up the phone. I said, hey, I know they're having a hard time, but I say, hey, listen, I know I would normally wait, but I'm locked online. I can't talk to anybody on the phone. Because what do? They click, they hang up. They're not ready. They have, a small center for all these people. I called corporate, the operator. Hello, hi, hi, I'm trying to transfer you to the 800 line. No help. Multiple times. So this guy took pity on me and showed me how to send a message through the website. If anybody's watching and you're having trouble, ask EDD. There's a section at the bottom where you put ask EDD and go ahead and send them a message and whatever issue you're having. And that's how they get back to me. And how they got back to me was very much tell me just create a new account. It could have been done online. I didn't have to spend 4 days trying to call somebody. Like
they could have actually put that out on their front page. If you're having problems,
exactly. If you're having trouble, just create a new account, start over. To me, it's actually and it's so far I've helped 3 people file for unemployment because their application is worse than a loan. It's 12 pages long, and it asks you for employer address, not just where you work. They want their corporate address and their contact numbers. So if you work for somebody national and you don't know the corporate address and you can't get a hold of them, you're SOL. And it's really, to me, suspicious because it seems like it's set up where they don't want people to file. Make it as hard as possible for people to file. And it's like insurance. Some people are going to get through the whole thing and file, but most people will give up. I know a lot of people that are like, you know what, screw this. I'm just going to, I'm just going to get back to work. I'm going to go work. I'm going to file for whatever, file to work as a cashier, anything that I can do. I'd rather do that than file this unemployment. All that issue requests is your name, social security number, where you worked, because everybody, IRS, everybody that pays you has records of where you work. They have your employer name. They shouldn't have, people jump through these hoops. And it's because then, they got back to say, oh, we have to do this, I'm sure, but it's actually set up where people don't have to file. They don't want to have to pay.
Right. Well, that's you said it with the insurance situation too. Is it's there? Everybody's really
Till
happy to take your money, and then when it has to be given out, it's a nightmare. So
unfortunately, there's people like me that are persistent, and we'll get to. I actually went as far as to tag the governor on his Instagram, letting them know that it's great that they're doing this rent halt, but it's not enough. From my point of view, it's a slap in the face to the people. Like, if anything, they should be working on how to freeze the rent for 90 days.
Well, let me ask you something. So the rent hold doesn't mean that you don't owe the rent for the period of time.
Oh, no, not at all.
So when in 3 months comes around and you've had a rent hold for 3 months, now you owe 3 months worth of rent.
Yep, and it's due right away as soon as the situation is over. If you read the guidelines of the the governor's post.
So the soundbite sounds great, and then you read the little print, and it's like,
of course.
Yeah.
And it's like applying for credit. Why do I want to open a new trade line of credit? I already have savings. I'm just gonna spend it on that. Hopefully it's 90 days, because if it's not, then I'm gonna have.
And you're lucky if you got 3 months worth of backup.
Yeah, you're gonna see me moving back to my parents' house next. Next Zoom we may have to do for my old high school bedroom or something. It's horrific situation, and I'm sure I'm not the worst off, because like I said, there's people who don't have the persistence to get through that application, don't have the technical know-how. I had to help my mom because she doesn't know how to do all that, and it's sad. It shouldn't be that hard for the American people to get their benefits that we've been paying for. Now, I know people who have been abusing the system. I mean, before this happened, we had a barber who would come every 3-4 months to our barbershop, request an application for employment, go through the whole interview, but didn't want to get hired. All he wanted to do is send it back to EDD, let him know that he's going through interviews. Unfortunately, people find a way to go around the system and create this guidelines and restrictions that affect other people. And like people like us, they're like, hey man, I don't want to stay home. I want to go work, but I can't. So I need that money right now. Like, I don't need to wait a week just to be able to log in, just for you guys to get back to me and tell me, hey man, just create a new account. That should be automatic on their page. Should have a whole section. Hey, if you can't log in, try this, try this, try this. None of that. There's no contact. If there's no contact number, there should at least be a chat or an email. Hey, if you need help, you have to look for it.
Especially in this day and age, there's no excuse for that not being.
No excuse at all for the government the state government not to be ready for that. There's no excuse at all. Like, you have to, unless they're hiding it in plain sight, because you actually have to hack the website to get through that contact DDD. This guy that worked for DDD for quality assurance had to guide me through multiple pages to get through that. He had to look for it himself because he didn't know how to. He had to go through the actual map of the the website to help me. So it's not easy, and it's really sad because people they have nowhere to go. I had to go and, like I said, tag New York Times, whoever I can think of, Speaker of the House Pelosi, governor on his own post. Hey man, we weren't ready. It's great that you guys are doing all this, but we were not ready for all the sectors that you guys decided to shut down, because banks didn't shut down. marijuana dispensaries are all open. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I see lines.
Construction didn't shut down. Marijuana dispensaries didn't shut down. Liquor stores didn't shut down. Liquor stores are, like we said, 50% increase in sales in 2 weeks.
It's a congregation of people. I went to Stater Brothers, and it's like 100 people on there. It's like nobody's following. You look at the news. The governors, everybody's now within 6 feet. They're right there next to each other. Nobody's observing the guidelines.
And that's what I said from the
I don't see the governors growing their hair. I don't see the governor unless they're shaving themselves or cutting their own hair. They have to have a barber. They have to have, all the governing people have to have somebody, and it's just sad that it's just all behind the scenes. That's
a very interesting observation. Like, if you're genuinely basically advocating for social distancing and physical distancing, then how come your hair and makeup is perfect?
Right.
How come it's not, is growing wings on the side of your head?
I had to slick my own hair back. Like, it's just
well, the reason why mine has maintained itself well is because the gentleman right across there basically had something to do with it last time around. But that's a very interesting thing, and I think I'm going to end it on this. Okay, for everybody who's out there who's basically advocating from an elected position for social distancing and physical distancing, at least you should be showing hair growth and things that basically, your nails are not perfect unless you're doing them yourself, or you have within your family that's sequestered with you, a hairdresser and a makeup artist and a nail salon. So that's a very good point. I would have never thought about it, but it takes a master barber to think about it. Listen,
not just that, also about it's important for, I know people who are disabled who were coming to our shop every week to get shaves, and it's more hygienic to have a shaved face, a clean haircut. I mean, it's something that needs to be explored.
Actually, there's another, now that you mentioned it, there's another thing. Like, people with diabetes, they are basically not encouraged to cut their own nails or their toenails, because they can easily injure themselves and then basically bleed, because they're on medication that allows their blood to circulate. And
it wasn't thought all the way through.
No, and that was my point from the beginning, that as much as that this is a serious medical situation and a crisis, the impact of how we are going about dealing with it is going to be such a ripple. And you said, well, what side of the ripple? Here's the thing about a ripple. You drop a thing, the ripple is out on all directions, right? And so there is no one direction to the ripple. The way
there is a direction to a ripple. In this case, unfortunately, it's the government is going to guide everything. As you look, and they're proposing a $500 billion bailout, and most of it is going to the banks again. So those ripples are being directed that way. We're just We're getting the face that's saying, hey, we got you guys. Hey, but over here they're proposing bailouts for the banks again, instead of, if you look at that bailout, the breakdown for the people is small. It's like $6 billion or something for the ones that
and there's a certain amount, and there's money that's been basically discretionary without really oversight. Yeah, I totally get it, and I don't want to really go down the political side of it. I think that the reality is this: people are genuinely being impacted. I appreciate you being on and sharing this, because it's also, literally from the front lines. You're dealing with this, and you're dealing with this, and you have other people coming to you that are also needing some help to deal with it. And as you said, it shouldn't be like this. It really should not be like this. And I don't know if in week 3, if 3 weeks after this thing has basically become everybody's issue, and the way we are basically going about it, and not even basically holding true to things, and understandably so, to be honest with you. I don't agree with people that are endangering themselves and others, but I totally get where they're coming from. And in 3 months, if in 3 weeks this is the situation, in 3 months, if we are under some kind of understanding or some kind of misunderstanding that this is going to be a sustainable condition for 3 months, which is what they're saying it's probably going to be at least, I think people are being in total denial, because people, if they're today breaking the curfew, breaking the going out in public, going into the grocery stores, if they're doing it
it's making it worse.
If they're making it in 3 weeks, I guarantee you in 3 months, it ain't going to get any better unless somebody shows some leadership and puts something into place that are actually in place, and not just sound bites and things. And I will end with this. Thank you for telling me to watch out for the news and see whether elected officials have showing
who's following their own advice.
Hair growth or not. Because
And
if you're asking me,
right next to each other, 6 feet, people, 6 feet.
So the new thing in political circles these days is, if you want me to trust you, you need to show me that your hair is growing.
Exactly, and the beard, unless you're shaving
and the beard,
yourself.
and right. Well, beard people shave themselves, but hair. If you want me to trust what's coming out of your mouth, let me see how long your hair has grown in the last 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Gorky, thank you so much for being on, man. That was pretty funny.
And
I will be watching that now on CNN, MSNBC, and Fox, and seeing whose hair
you're
is
gonna see roots too, grays, guys, gray blending, women roots. It's gonna be great. Everybody's gonna pack all the hair salons to get back on.
I've been wearing a beard for almost 20 years, so I'm happy for more bearded people around there. So,
true that.
See you soon, man. Thank you very much. Be safe.
Take care, Raad.
All right.
See ya. Thank you.
Bye-bye.